All right. Hey, Janet. You're muted, darling.
Thank you for the link.
See if it works.
It worked. Yahoo!
Yahoo. Okay. Lila seems to be in somewhere else. Lila. All right. Jackie, great. Hi, Ria. Okay. Just trying to see if me and technology are in harmony today, or are we having some kind of Mercury retrograde moment, you know? So that's recording. Cool. Ria, Jackie, Janet. Okay, let's see who else shows up. Okay, Christine. Okay. Hey, sweet lady. There's Lila. Okay, Lila. Lila. Sorry if I get anybody's pronunciation wrong. I have several Lilas and Leelas, and they all spelled it ways, and I never know what's what. Cinda, cool. Welcome. Karen, great. Okay. All right, we are in session 7 on Sunday afternoon. It's one of our longer sessions. Cool. Jackie. It is March. What is it? It's the 6th of March. Welcome, Cinda. Hey, Jackie, Ria, Leila, Karen.
So it's icy down there, Carrie?
What, Donna?
It's icy down there according to
Not
the,
where I am. It's actually starting to melt a little bit right now. We don't have any sidewalks per se, but the ground's been pretty warm, so it's still kind of melting. Yeah, good luck coming over the pass next week.
yeah, if it's too bad, I'm not gonna come, but it
No.
looks like it could be pretty okay by then.
Cool. Cool. Yeah, let me know if you have any free time.
Okay.
I know you'll be pretty focused on the situation itself, but you can let me know.
I will.
Okay.
Hi everyone, it's Karen.
Hi, Karen. Hi,
I
Sydney.
haven't gotten to really say hi to everybody very often. I have to walk my dog really quick, so I'm sorry I won't be very available to help or interact too much for a little bit, but nice to
Okay.
see everyone.
All right. Sydney. Hi, Sydney. Okay, everybody's jumping all over the screen here. I'm like, okay, well, we're waiting for our esteemed teacher who will, I'm sure, appear soon. Yeah, there you are, darling. Hi. How's everybody doing today? Like, are you a little overwhelmed like me? Or is everybody just, oh, a few nodding heads. Okay, misery loves company, you know, it's all right.
I told myself I wasn't going to take anything else on during this, and then I'm doing a 2-week art course that I couldn't resist. And Friday night I went to another gathering with some yogis here that it was just such a rare event. And then I'm like, what am I doing?
I hear you. Totally hear you.
It's so
There's
funny.
so
It's
much.
like the same here. Exactly. Just like everything's exploding. And I'm like, how do I do this? I spent all morning writing the entire next script that I hadn't even begun.
Oh,
did
you're so
too.
good. It's taken me like 3 days. Oh my God.
I don't even know if it's okay. Like,
I
oh my
just
God,
spent-
it's being recorded. Oh.
I spent like 3 hours writing today too. So
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it.
Yeah, and then the outline, the short one, not done.
No, 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 no.
Okay, I'm so glad I'm not alone, but
No,
It's so challenging when I start working on them and I start reading the visualizations and things, I start getting sleepy. I don't know.
so funny.
I'm too suggestible or something.
Yeah, I hear y'all.
It's funny too, because it's actually very enjoyable to do it. I'm like, why am I not doing this? I'm really enjoying it. But it's just like you were saying, Christine, life is just exploding. I guess that's maybe astrological, you know, good in a good way, but I'm exhausted. I'm like so tired from everything.
me too. And then I'll write something and I feel pretty good about it. And then Tree Debbie adds some little things here and there. And I'm like, oh my God, I didn't do it the way I could have, or it's
I love the saying that Sri always shares of completion, not perfection. So it's like kind of this always evolving conversation. And like,
Okay.
I noticed for myself, I always want to do something like the best way. And then just in this space, I feel so much more of a readiness to like really receive the little like, you know, leveling up, because it just feels like such a gift of like, okay, yeah, and like giving myself permission to like step into that like next level of what's being offered. It feels exciting to me.
Great.
Oh, good. That's such a wonderful enlightened way to be looking at this. I will.
I already felt like we were up leveling, going from BC to AD in our own little way in this era, so that this has like just fit right into that, is at least helping me process it all.
There you go. Good. Well, thanks everybody for showing up. Sri, hello, lovely lady. You got to unmute, darling. Unmute, unmute, unmute. I had a girlfriend who sent me a meme saying, my saying for everything is unmute yourself on your t-shirt or like
That's
on your
beautiful.
forehead. It's like the most common phrase these days.
Oh,
Mute yourself.
that's great. Yeah, unmute. Yeah, or just to sign off, you know, we have so many beautiful metaphors from the computer world. Let's see, how's the light? Maybe.
I know. Are we online? Are we offline? All that kind of thing. My brain's online today. My brain's offline today.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. We should all just put together a list of all the metaphors from the computer world that can apply to our own lives, you know?
Can you see it now? Is a good one. Can you see it now?
We should do a script for detoxing technology.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. The motherboard of all. That's going to be the motherboard of all.
There you go. Clay, Laura, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Let's see.
Kathleen, welcome.
Reducing the, you know, when our global teacher, Amma, first went online, she was one of the first Indian teachers to go online, and her temple in Kerala, India, the only air-conditioned floor in the whole ashram premises is the basement of the temple, which is an air-conditioned computer lab. And so her ardent devotees, even 25 years ago, since so many young Indians are in the computer field, they transformed her to the mother of the web. And so there was a Swami there who gave a whole talk for an hour using all the computer glitch words. Well, when you download Amma's words, or when you can download the Yoga Sutra teachings, just download it fully into your mind. But you know, you have to have the right program to download. So the right attunement has to be there. Yeah, this is all about being prepared for this unpredictable reality we live in. And I want to just start with a prayer for peace in Ukraine, and may peace prevail, and may each one of us add our part, whatever we can do, to usher in those thoughts and attitudes and feelings of compassion, nonviolence, acceptance of the changing realities, and keep putting forth solutions that we can implement in our own lives. May peace prevail in Ukraine. So one of our Naropa students, she is from the region right around Kiev, and her relatives have a whole row of Russian tanks parked in front of their house. And her grandmother and grandfather are living in, you know, in petrified state in the basement. And her two male cousins are, you know, training with the army, and it's, and she has gone into complete silence. She just cannot bear to even talk about it. Yeah. Just visualize fragrant white flowers, tuberoses, white roses, jasmines. This is what we do in the yogic path, is white flowers for pure consciousness, for Shiva's pure peace consciousness. The word Shiva also means peace and serenity. Let them fall all over the land of Ukraine. Let them shower the Black Sea. Let them shower all the nuclear reactors in the region. They have 14 nuclear power plants in 4 different locations. Let us chant the Bija Mantra Yam for the heart chakra to expand our I am presence into the land of Ukraine, to send green light, followed by white light, followed by rose pink, bringing in the abundance of the earth again, and the white light for clearing, and the rose pink for love and compassion. Just send them out and raise in all directions from your heart chakra. Yam, 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 yam. Thank you. Have the agenda for the day tucked on where you can see it. You can adjust your screen. There'll be a vertical line in the screen that you can move, your Zoom screen. And right now, let's see, how can we spotlight me? Oh, there we go. Okay, so you can move a thin dotted vertical line. It's barely visible. And that way, one side of your screen is available to look at handouts. And I want to share the screen and look at the new handout I posted yesterday. Let's see, share screen. Somehow the share screen is not working. Let me try that one more time, and otherwise I can ask any of you to share that screen. Okay, yeah, so here it is. So this is on your handouts now. It's for those of you who like to use the Sanskrit words in their correctness and the precision. I've made for you all of the markings, the words with the markings so this is called the IAST, or the International something, but it is about the transliteration system of taking the Roman letters and adding markings to give the phonetic pronunciation for Sanskrit. So if you wanted to say asana, for instance, you would choose the bar over the A for the first sound, asana. So you would choose that. So this way you have this with you once you download it, and I keep it tucked in a corner of my desktop, and I bring it down when I work on a document so that I can add in the letters. So all the vowels that are long, say dharana, dhyana, all of them have long A's. So you can add the A with the bar for those sounds so that you get the correct pronunciation. And the H with the dot is for sounds like namaha, shanti, shanti. So that when you write the word shanti, then you put the long a for a, shanti. And then you put the H with the dot below to show that you have to make that aspirate sound in the end, shanti or namaha. What else did I want to say here? Yeah, notice ooh, ooh. And then we also have the vowel r that comes in words such as amrita. Say amrita, amrita, amrita. Satoma satkamaya, tamasoma jyotirgamaya, mrityorma amritangamaya, amritam, the nectar of immortality, Amrita means more immortality. And the T's and D's, it's really important. Sanskrit has very few hard sounds. Unlike English, English has a lot of hard sounds. Da, David, da, 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 Tom, Tom, da, da, da. While Sanskrit, just like Spanish, has more soft sounds, the and the ta. So it would be, pratyahara, tap, tap, tap. So for that, we don't have a sign at all. The T's and D's would have no markings. But when there's a dot below the D or below the T, then it means you make the hard sound, such as hatha yoga. Hatha yoga would be, you have the H-A-T-H-A, but if you put a dot below the T, then that's a reminder that that's a hard sound. While most Western yoga people don't know that, so they'll make the soft sound in the wrong place. Hatha, say hatha, hatha, hatha. Let me hear a couple of you, if you'll unmute yourself so I can tell. Hatha, hatha. It's very important that in the yoga field, we learn how to pronounce the most important word, hatha. Yeah, Sydney, you want to unmute, and Kerry, let me hear you.
Hatha.
Hatha, yeah, right, good. Yeah, Cinda, you want to try it? Hatha. Hatha, very good. So put your tongue up, way up on the roof of the mouth, and it's like you're making a slingshot with your tongue. Ta, 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 ta. And then you add a ha sound to it. Hatha, hatha, hatha. Yeah, hatha. So hatha, the word hatha means by force, by persuasion, by will. Using your willpower, we overcome the inertia of the body. So hatha yoga is a means of taming and training the body by use of our willpower. It takes willpower to roll off the couch and get onto the mat. You all know that. So that is what hatha. And so anyway, so this is for you. It's there, and I will try my best in my handouts, to include the markings. But I know many of you are pretty advanced in the use of Sanskrit in your notes, and this way you have the Roman system with you to use. And even if you're totally a beginner with all the Sanskrit terms, such as Shanti and Kosha and Guna. Guna, for instance, the N has a dot below, which means it's a nasal way the tongue touches the roof of the mouth. Guna, na, 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 na. So anything that touches the roof of the mouth, those sounds then start to soothe the limbic system, because the midbrain and the limbic system are very accessible for the tongue when we touch the roof of the mouth or take it towards the soft palate. So Sanskrit is a very intentional language that uses these sounds in a conscious way. Okay, so that's about the Sanskrit for today. And now we will, the other handout that I've just posted on your handouts is to, since we're talking of the brain, is to show the power of mantra on the right and left hemispheres. How as non-verbal sounds, intonation and tones, this soothes the sympathetic nervous system. We say, whether we do yam, ram, lam, or whether we do om durgaya namaha, om shivaya namaha. And Amma has a beautiful one for the Christ. It's om Christaya namaha. And it can be hallelujah, it can be amen, amen, amen. A repetitive sound that has some soft vowels elongated. This is why transcendental meditation research, starting from the 1960s, that is about the time research on mantra and also on yantra, the visual impact of a sacred geometry on the brain hemispheres. So you see our famous triangle here, and it has a bija mantra inside for Hram. Hram is a bija mantra used in Surya Namaskar. So those of you who teach sun salutations, you know, we can do a special time, maybe on a office hours, where I can teach you the mantras for each of the 12 poses. And they have a lot of waking up kind of bija mantras with the sound Hra in it. Om Hram, Om Hrim, Om Hrum, Om Hraum. So this one says Hram, and shows the 3 concentric triangles to wake up the tamas guna, the rajas guna, the sattva guna, or the physical body, the psychic body or subtle body, and the causal body. How geometric patterns affect our right and left hemispheres, and the artist mind that we all have. The artist mind is evoked. The nonverbal aspect of our right brain. And at the same time, because those of us who would love to explain, you know, the significance and the meaning of mantra and yantra, then our right brain is evoked also, so that our rational, logical, our buddhi aspect is awakened, and the combination of both will be acting simultaneously. So same here for the mantra. The more ancient these mantras and yantras are, for instance, in Baluchistan, which is a neighboring small country to Afghanistan, which used to be also part of the ancient home of tantric yoga, as part of the Indian peninsula, they have found a stone sculpture that is about from 6,000 BC, you know, with the dating, and it has 9 concentric triangles facing downwards. From 6,000 BC. So it tells you how old the aspect of using sacred geometry, and the 9 concentric triangles in modern Tantra are the sacred geometry of goddess Durga, the goddess of today, the goddess of the fire element, the goddess of the navel chakra. And there are equivalents to the fire goddess in all cultures, in all ancient matriarchal civilizations. But the power of the mythical imagination, how emotions then get linked to sacred geometry, emotions get linked and released with mantra. You know, my son, to handle his bipolar, he's very good with song, you know, kirtan. And many kirtans are made from mantras. And he just told me yesterday morning when he was practicing for an event, he's saying, Mom, I'm going to do the long notes, okay? I'm going to do the Shiva song with the long notes because I'm in this mixed state. It's going to help me release my emotion. And then I'll do a Shiva mantra before and after. So he automatically has discovered this for himself, that the recitation of mantra or the visualizing of a yantra allows us, in those deep relaxed states of yoga nidra especially, to allow emotion to soften, to allow the deeply held visual traumatic residues in our amygdala circuit in the midbrain to be released. So they soften and do not have the same emotional charge they had to begin with. So this is also the power of using the bija mantras as a practice, knowing that this is how they affect our hemispheres. This chart is from the book by the late tantric scholar Johari, Harish Johari, Johari, and there's a beautiful book called Tools for Tantra, where there are a few charts like this, and he explains many of the yogic deities and their sacred geometry. So I highly recommend that for anybody who wants to learn more about tantric yoga in general. Okay, well, any questions here while I have this handout up? Anything related to deities, mantra, yantra.
Well, this isn't directly related, but I'm taking a course on drawing figures, deities. So I'm learning, I guess you can't really see this, but I'm learning how there's this specific math to the 108 aspects of the human body, and they all have to be they all have to be done correctly in order to invoke the spiritual aspects of the deity. And it's just so fascinating.
Well, that part is not technically true. It's the intention that matters more than anything else.
Is it?
And, yes, we have the maps of the body. And if you look at Tracy's book, she has shown a nice map also with some of the what we call marma points. So it's in the placement. Yeah. So Christine, it's what you're studying is so important in terms of the roots of Yoga Nidra and the being able to touch different parts of our body with our awareness, which is what Swami Satyananda discovered. But the ancient practice is called nyasa. Nyasa is the sacred placement using a mudra on our bodies. And I have a beautiful book, which I don't want to get up from my chair and go to the next room, but it's called Mantra Yoga and Primal Sound, which again has a map showing how we can place all the vowel sounds, for instance, im, rum, 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 im, So 16 vowel sounds can be placed on different, what are called marma points on the face. And they can also be imagined as being placed. So those are the real roots of how the modern Yoga Nidra, which starting from the 1940s and into the 60s, that Swami Satyananda and was asked to do this research. So Swami Shivananda, obviously being his teacher, then already knew that this was all going to be emanated through his disciples. So that discipline is called nyasha, or sacred placement of mantra on different points on the body. And they can be mapped in different ways. And one of the ways is using the number 108. Another number uses 54, half of 108. Another number uses 27. So that's exactly how this relates, Christine. You're right on. It's in touching those points, or imagine that we're touching them. For instance, the heart chakra is connected to points along both arms, and also about 5-6 points on the belly. So the organs of action, being able to grasp, manipulate, move things, those organs of action on the Sankhya chart are linked to the heart chakra. And then they have bija mantras, kam, kam, gum, gum, tam, tum, dum, dum, num. So 5 sets of bija mantras on 5 points. And it's not really that important whether we get the points right. What's important is that we get the intention right. And the intention is, in Tantra always, is to link the microcosm, that is we as the sacred temples of this cosmic energy, to link that to the universal. So when we say heart chakra, air element, we are linking to the wind and air currents of the whole earth. And today, with being the fire element, we are linking the fire, especially the aspect of among the 5 pranas. Remember the 5 pranas? Inhale, exhale, diffuse breath, upward breath. And the 5th one is called? You have the inhale breath, exhale breath, diffuse breath, upward breath. And then how do we get our energy?
Digestive
breath. Samana vayu. Samana means equalizing, harmonizing. So as the energy is generated from the digestion of food, and then the distribution of that harmoniously as needed, that is the aspect of today's, the the Manomaya Kosha and linking to the navel, the fire element, goddess Durga, and the Bija mantra Ram. So we'll chant that, and we can place the Bija mantra Ram, right on the navel, between the part where we visualize the actual navel chakra is between the spine and the belly button, right in there, the midpoint, and that's as it touches the central line. Remember that all the chakras are in a straight line in the center of the spinal cord. And though the spinal cord will shift and move because our spine is slightly curved, our visualization of the central channel is a straight line. The horizontal placement is given when we mention things like, behind the navel, or we say at the third sacral vertebrae for the sacral or pelvic chakra. It's the position would be the third vertebrae, or just below the cervix for women and in the perineal area for men, or we say the tip of the spine for the Muladhara root chakra, though the first and second chakra are extremely close, probably within half an inch of each other. So, but everything is envisioned in a straight line. That's important. Okay, so yeah, Christine, so does the teaching you're going through right now, does it link back to showing the power of the yantra of the whole human body, also as the koshas? So the koshas, as we envision these dimensions of the koshas, remember that too is an overlay. That too is part of the mythical imagination from probably 2000 years. Well, the yantras are even older. Yantras and mantras are probably about 3000 years old. And it's the writing on all of this. The tantric yoga written aspects were all done primarily between the 5th and the 11th centuries, what we might call the tantric age. So before that were the Vedas, before that was Vedanta, before that was classical yoga, before that was, slightly before that was the Bhagavad Gita and the Sankhya Sutras, as well as the Yoga Sutras, say 3rd to 5th century. So the tantric literature we have is the most recent literature we have, starting from the 5th century onwards. That's where Yoga Nidra comes from. Okay, so what book is the mantra information from? Okay, yeah, let me type the name of the book. And Mantra Yoga, Primal Sound by David Crowley. I don't recommend trying to use this book on your own. It would be too complex, but I'm gonna bring the book and show it to you. And I often conduct, 2 or 3 classes on it, but I want to show you the part which has what Christine was talking about. Okay, so here it is. And Sydney and Leela, if you're there, both of you will be familiar with this book from our Sacred Sanskrit course in Naropa. So yes, Mantra Yoga and Primal Sound, it's an absolute must if you want to go deeper into the understanding of Bija mantras, chakras, and planetary mantras. So in the appendix of this is a simple chart of placement of Om on different parts of the body. And so right around the navel, those placements are what we would use for the navel chakra. And then the mantras are given how to place them. And he uses also the Roman transliteration system, which I just showed you. So there are many layers to all this teaching, and I'm happy to talk more about it during office hours, or send me a little email, and I can send you a couple of different handouts also. Yeah, Sydney asked for Nyasa, correct, yes. So Nyasa is the name of the practice of being able to take a certain bija mantra, like and place it in a certain part of the body, or use a general bija mantra. If we're working with the fire element and Ram, and we want to activate that Rajas Guna in some of the sluggish points, then we can use a variety of mudras. This is one mudra where all the fingers come together. That's actually a mudra. A mudra means a gesture that is an energetic lock, sealing the subtle energy of the chakras of our palm and fingers and the fingertips. Fingertips are very powerful chakras. So this would be a bija mantra that can be used with this mudra to place the bija mantra on different parts. Okay. I've read conflicting reports, front or back, and never been sure the correct answer. The chakras run through the middle of the spine. Well, the chakras run on a straight line. So we have to visualize a straight line in the center of the spine. And to actually visualize the Sushumna as part of a vertical axis. Okay, so if you think of the vertical axis of Sushumna, and the horizontal axis then would right behind the eyes, the third eye, and you spread it out, then that's why we often bring the mental screen right in front of the closed eyes, the Chidakash and the mental screen. Chidakash is the whole sky, the inner sky, but using the mental screen to watch the play of the mind, that's all in front of the horizontal axis that we visualize running through the center of the brain, which is probably right where the pineal gland would be, kind of just behind the middle of the eyebrows. And the pineal gland then assists us with all the spatial visualization. Okay, I hope that answers your question. Yeah, Swami Satyananda made it a point to keep emphasizing that regardless of how curved our spine may be, and the placement of the chakras is on that straight line as visualized. But if it's visualized here or there, slightly different, it doesn't matter, because it is a visualization. And in doing any visualization, we strengthen our power of concentration, the dharana to dhyana. We strengthen our ability to visualize petals, colors, imagining also the deities of yoga, or imagining the sacred animals or birds that are linked to these chakras as ancient mythical symbols. So in doing this kind of imagination, we are continuously developing our capacity of dharana to dhyana. And that is of vital importance in the journey of meditation. So can they be clockwise, counterclockwise? Yeah, it doesn't matter which one we choose, because those electromagnetic chakras are constantly moving. So whether we visualize them, and generally in healing work, we visualize them anti-clockwise when we are releasing something. So if we just take the navel chakra as an example, when we want to release heavy emotion, then we can visualize this orange, slightly red ball of fire just whirling anti-clockwise. And then pause and let everything settle, bringing in golden light. I mean, I have to teach a whole field of what we call pranic healing, which comes in the next stage after Yoga Nidra. So I went back for training in that in the Bihar School of Yoga. And Swami Satyananda has a book on that called Prana Vidya, which is about how to access the 5 subtle pranas for energetic work once the basis of yoga nidra practice is well established. But for healers who are already doing the work, so we release the chakra energies anti-clockwise when we release something, and we bring them in clockwise when we want to invoke something. So with the Pranamaya Kosha and the Annamaya Kosha, we went through from earth to water, and the Pranamaya Kosha has so much emphasis on the breath because it's the passage of breath, the passage of conscious inhalation and exhalation that we can release some of the intensity of heavy emotion. So one can visualize breath itself moving clockwise or counterclockwise in a chakra point, whirling in the opposite directions as we want to visualize release or invoking. But this is for a little bit of advanced work. I don't recommend doing any of that in beginning yoga nidra. In beginning yoga nidra, we do a lot of the vertical movements of breath. Navel to throat, inhalation. Throat to navel, exhalation. Navel downwards, going into the earth, would be grounding ourselves in the root chakra. Then expanding the breath to the sides of the body, to the extremities, from the central line to move our breath awareness into the extremities, into the cells, into the hair, into the scalp, into the nails. That would be diffuse breath, taking the life force into the cells. Then upward breath would go from about the heart chakra, moving up through the throat, through the center of the whole face, center of the head, and gently coming out of the top of the crown. So that is that upward breath, Udana Vayu, the sacred breath, which is also the exit breath, final exit breath, but it also prepares us to move into the higher koshas. So that's the visualization, moving upwards from the heart chakra. Then the Samana Vayu, which is what we're doing today. Samana Vayu is you visualize like a band of about 4 to 6 inches all around the navel chakra, just warm, golden, orange, and imagine a gentle flame, not a roaring fire, but a gentle flame. Gentle flame has more gold and orange. And feel the warmth in the whole belly region. There is a beautiful Qigong mudra I like to add to this. It's you bring your, if you'll all watch me here on the screen, bring your, let all the fingers touch like this. You've made an imaginary bowl like that, and ideally we would stand facing the sun and keep this mudra right in front of the navel. I cannot move back enough in my office room to show you that. Let me try. So with the fingers facing outward, and in this position, you would visualize the sun's rays coming into this imaginary bowl, into this ball of fire, as I'm going to call it, and keep bringing in the heat of the sun, and visualize with each inhale the orange-red energies of the sun concentrating in this ball of fire. And after you do 8 or 10 breaths like that, then to slowly spread the hands and go a little bit further, still feel the ball of fire, still feel the heat. And if you don't feel it, come back, put the fingertips together. This completes the energetic circuit of the body. And again, visualize energy from the sun. And each inhale, and with each exhale, fill the palms and feel the energy going into the belly button. You know, the navel, the belly button is really our portal of life, with where the umbilical cord used to be. So fill that with the heat and the light and keep expanding till you can actually release your hands and the warmth is all through. So that will take some practice. It took me a few weeks to get to that point. But it's just a very powerful way. In this way, you have the whole band of warmth. Breathe into it, right from the belly button, with the rays of warm light from the sun filling it and expanding into the whole belly. And now we're going to add the Bija mantra. Ram, 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 ram. Follow along with the tones. Let me hear some of you. Unmute yourselves. Ram. Raise the tone, raise the tone. Ram. Raise the tone, raise the tone. Ram. Power in the navel chakra. Ram. Ram. In the resonance of the nasal sound. Ram. 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 I taught you once before the mountain peak of the chakra energies to go rising up and coming back to the navel region. Feel that warmth of the orange. It's a beautiful time to do a short practice. I picked one from Tracy's to do today that she calls the vritti fire, because it's in this kosha, the Manomaya Kosha, that we can, in this Manomaya Kosha. Manomaya means Maya, as I said, is embodied. Mano from the word manas. So it is really taking us to the expanse of the sensory mind awareness. But we are engaging with the limbic system now, engaging with the power of the feelings that arise, the power of strong emotions that arise. At the same time, the attention to the senses. So it is, that's why it's very powerful, as we just looked at the slide of how both sides of the hemisphere are involved in working with emotion and releasing emotion through the limbic circuit can happen through breath, through sound, through image, through pauses that are important after certain images or certain sounds. And so her practice on page 134, called the vritti fire offering, is the practice of offering your thoughts, good, bad, or neutral, into the fire. Let it go. So we've just visualized and activated the navel chakra. Ram, ram, ram. So imagine sitting in front of a bonfire or having your fireplace on. Right now in Colorado, it's a good day. My gas fire is burning nicely in the living room. Or visualize a candle or have an actual candle. Any kind of open flame to have in front of you or to visualize. And you're sitting right in front of it. A crackling, roaring fire. Smell the flames. Hear the crackle of of the wood. Offer gratitude for the element of fire that purifies, that transforms, that activates. Each time you have a thought or a sensation coming up or a feeling coming up, just offer it into this fire. Just offer it into the fire. We're not talking of just negative thoughts, but we're talking of all thoughts. Positive thoughts, neutral thoughts, random thoughts, sensations, how your body's feeling right now, what it's like to be in this online class right now. Just offer it into this fire in front of you. Feel as though this fire has a cleansing quality to purify the lens through which you see. So it's like rubbing the glass window in front of you to see more clearly. The lens we use to interpret the world, what we hear, what we see, what we smell, what we taste, what we feel. All in front of this roaring fire. So fire destroys, fire purifies, fire clarifies, fire also activates. For every thought that comes into your mind, making it an offering. You can place your hand on your heart, reminding yourself that you are beyond each of these thoughts. You are beyond each of these sensations. You are beyond each of these feelings that you offer. You're offering every mental movement into the fire with surrender, with love, with an acknowledgement that the consciousness behind all these movements of mind, of feeling, are much, much bigger than us, much, much bigger than we can even imagine. Feel each offering into the fire you make. See how it makes you feel lighter. Makes you feel less tension in the body and the mind. Makes you feel like you are carrying less of a burden. Feel all the constrictions and tensions in the body and in the muscles and in your breath being actively subsumed by the fire, consumed by the fire. Feel yourself becoming free in body and mind, transformed, clear, renewed. Take a few moments now to journal. Make any notes of recurring thoughts or sensations or feelings. As you journal now, think of what am I offering into this purifying fire? What am I offering? What is this awareness of offering into the fire? Okay. Take a few moments, please. Okay. Start to make your final sentence. So anytime we are in intense, heavy emotion, this is a beautiful practice too. And at home, growing up in India, when in our family circles, when anybody was in a state of high stress, anxiety, intense emotion, immediately one of the elders would light a ghee lamp and we would gather around it. And we would go into this practice, a pranayama practice first of the alternate nostril breathing. And also the anuloma viloma, the extending of the breath. And one useful variation I learned from a cardiologist, he called it the cardiac breath, is simply doing the inhalation normally and exhaling through pursed lips with your mouth. So inhale with the nose, exhale through the mouth. Inhale nose, exhale with the mouth with slightly pursed lips, so that the very act of pursing the lips, like you're holding a straw and breathing out, will elongate the exhale. And elongating the exhale starts to nurture the parasympathetic nervous system. And anytime we breathe consciously, we are giving signals to our sympathetic nervous system. No need to be in fight or flight mode. We're going to shift now. We're going to shift to the rest and digest mode. The parasympathetic system can be called rest, digest, while the sympathetic nervous system is fight, flight. So the navel chakra, the fire element, the Manomaya Kosha, the sensory mind being fully activated, it's starting to move into the Rajas Guna, which is full on, impulses are coming out, raw emotions are coming out. There is the waking consciousness in its duality is now really bringing in the ahankara principle, the I, the making of the I, the separate sense of I is getting stabilized. How everything makes me feel. And I have some notes here on our agenda. But, let's see. Yeah, reactive tendencies and impulsive behaviors. With some, let me bring it up so you can actually take a look at it. And so this is all in your daily folder. So Manomaya Kosha. So I wanted to get to this part. Yeah, our reactive tendencies and impulsive behaviors. Why is this happening to me? How can this be happening to me? And if we can take that a little bit into the witness mode, who is experiencing these feelings, these sensations? So as we would sit around in a family circle with that light, the ghee lamp, or sometimes it would just be very quickly a few sticks with herbs in a small fire chamber, a small copper pot that my grandfather passed down. And it's still in my room back at home in India, that copper pot that I inherited, that we can do small indoor fire ceremonies or use it to release heavy emotion. So that is quickly lit in the middle of the room, and becomes a focal point. And often you write things on a piece of paper, write what it is you wish to release and throw it into that fire. The very act of burning small scraps of paper, or it could be, a piece of wood, just a stick, something that you make a dot on with a marker or a pen, but the very act, as if you're bringing that heavy emotion from the brain, from the nervous system, onto another object that's going to get burnt. That physical act is very releasing. And if you're outside, then do it outside in a little pot. And use the bija mantra, Ram, 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 and call on Durga. Om, Dum. Dum is a beautiful bija mantra, Dum, D-U-M, but pronounced with the soft sound, Dum, Dum. Om, Dum, 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 Durgaye Namaha. Om, Dum, 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 Durgaye Namaha. Durgaye Namaha, Durgaye Namaha, Ram, 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 Ram. And the very act of putting something into the fire, we use this mudra. This is something Amma has been popularizing all over the world. It's called the Tattva Mudra. Tattva means a category of existence from the Sankhya chart. So tattva, your thumb is pressing at the base of the ring finger, and the whole hand is tight, so that there are no leaks of the pranic energy. So this becomes what's called an astra, a weapon of virtue, sacred energetic lock, tattva mudra, and you use that to bring up the heaviness of the emotion, the intensity of feeling, all the way from the root chakra, bringing it up and expressing it out through the throat chakra into the fire. Whether it's an imagined fire, whether it's a real fire, it's an offering, and you inhale, take energy inward, and you exhale, you bring it out along with the mantra. Ram, just practice this a few times. Ram, 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 Om Dum 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 Ram. So in this moment, think of something you wish to release into this fire. Could be a brand new sankalpa, something that comes to mind as you wish to release in your life. For me, I wish to release my fear of disability about my knee. I'm still limping around with a cane. It's been 6 months. So I release the fear of disability with my knee. Each one of you pick something that just arises raw, fresh, spontaneous, rising out of that subconscious, waiting to be fed into the fire. Do it now 3 times. Offering it with the inhaling current, rising up from the navel, bringing that warm energy of the fire element, and then into this imagined fire before you, using the Tattva Mudra. And to be asking, who is experiencing this releasing into the fire element? Who is experiencing these duality of feelings and emotions? Whether I might be feeling disappointment, I might be feeling the opposite of that, some anticipation, I might be feeling joy, some anticipation of something to come. And then the disappointment on the other side. If we pick actual examples from our lives bringing up an event in front of our closed eyes into that mental screen, then that assists in looking at aspects of our lives in a witnessing mode, and then being able to offer it into the fire of awareness. What is the source of such feelings within me? What is the source of emotions within me? What is the capacity to be able to experience both sad and happy, disappointed, anticipation, angry versus calm? How can I be witnesses to both aspects in my life? Is there an awareness beyond the witness and the participant? These are some of the questions you can start to include in your Yoganidra script 3. The whole aspect of bringing in as the mental dimension, sensory and concrete mental dimension of this third kosha, linking to the fire element, navel chakra. What is the name of the navel chakra? Manipura. Say Manipura. Manipura. Pura means a city. Mani is shining jewels, a city of jewels. Because all jewels, all gems hold the solar fire within them. That's what gives them the beautiful light reflecting facets. They're shining, and they have their own electrical current, which is different from any other electricity we manifest on Earth. It's called piezoelectricity, P-I-E-Z-O, piezo. It's a specific electrical activity within crystals. That's why we've had, crystals used in transistor radios and in watches, because of the capacity of that piezoelectric current, which is so precise to be able to run those tiny gears and motors. So Manipura, the city of jewels, and the Rajas Guna is now full on. And so this is a great kosha to deal with impulsive behaviors and reactions. And just a little bit of the teaching from Sankhya, this is where we are moving from the subtle elements of senses as such, which were part of the lower koshas. Now in the middle koshas, we are not only, a sight as such and touch as such and seeing as such and tasting as such, but we are moving into the organs of action, the doing and the grasping and the pushing and the pulling, all of those things with our arms, hands, and then with our legs, the locomotion, the ability to move, and therefore the ability to work with space and time. And therefore, when space and time arise, what did I teach you about the fist? Opening the fist, space, time, and karma. All three open together. So this is a key dimension, the Manomaya Kosha, to work with karmic reactions, because our ability to move and to be active then gets us into actions and behaviors that generate karma. Karma is not simply, action and its consequences, but karma is how we work with actions and their consequences. What capacity we bring to it, what resilience we bring to it, what equilibrium we bring to it, what awareness we bring to it. That's what defines our own specific karma. So working with the karma of thoughts, feelings, sensations, and moving into the egoic mind, the sensory mind starts to blend into the egoic mind, manas to ahankara transition. How and why anything affects me and mine. Right now, the war in Ukraine, that's that is in everybody's minds, and for us, very far removed from it, where we may be thinking about the stock market or how the price at the gas pump is going to go up and the price of groceries are going to go up. But right there in Ukraine, I mean, what they're going through, that, you know, it's the raw reactions, the sensations, the impulses, the real fear of they've mostly lost their homes. And so we're looking at the classic portrayal of first, second, and third chakra traumas right there. And this is where Richard Miller's best work comes in, is in working with feelings and emotions. So in his book, in the worksheet in the back, in the appendix, he's got a nice worksheet when we get into the sheet of feelings and emotions, Manomaya Kosha, then further into the other koshas too, but pick a feeling and give its opposite. So right now it's about feeling as well as sensation. Both get combined. And I would do sensations first when you're writing your script 3 sensations, you know, heavy, cold, heavy, light, hot, cold, textures too, you know, feeling something hard, something soft. So get into at least 3 out of the 5 senses, and then start to explore some of the emotions. Swamiji, as I was mentioning in the last class, his major one is pleasure and pain. But we need to be really getting into more sensations and more feelings than that. Happy, sad, disappointed, uplifted. And if you get into Richard Miller's starting page 79, he's got a beautiful list, opposites of feeling, emotion, thought, image, and essence. So feelings. Manomaya Kosha. Awake, sleepy, calm, anxious, centered, spacey, comfortable, uncomfortable, deep, superficial, dry, moist, hot, cold, pleasurable, painful. Then, as we get into actual emotions, aggressive, passive, approving, disapproving, calm, agitated, empathic, indifferent, fearless, frightened, safe, abandoned. So these are examples he has. I would not choose more than 2 or 3, and it's good to be in the beginning phases of Yoga Nidra, and not to go into intensity too much. The way of working with any residual trauma that we know or don't know that we have, trauma implies that it's mostly in the unconscious and subconscious and gets triggered by various sensory mechanisms. So when we don't know how something may trigger somebody or ourselves, we choose to be gentle. And so we would pick an incident in our lives that we could bring up to represent feeling joyful. And then pick another incident to feeling sad, and actually bring them up as we have them in the script, put them right after we, let's see, I think I've put in a place here for you to include it. Yeah, infuse it in script 3. Okay, somewhere else I've written. But anyway, do it right after you finish the counting backwards. When we finish counting backwards, then and we're focusing on the breath. Yeah, I guess I must be writing it now in the directions for your script 3. as we go through the counting backwards, and I'd like you to choose, certainly the navel chakra, but at least one more, either the root chakra or the pelvic chakra. So we have 2 in the lower regions. And if you have more time and you're doing a longer one, you can come up to the heart chakra to count backwards. And after that is done, then you bring in the sensations and emotions. That can be, you can have a mental screen for it, or just bring up, being able to guide and say, think of a time when you were very happy. Explore that feeling of happiness all through the body. Feeling happy. Where is this happiness in the body? Happy. And then sad. Bring an event that made you sad, made you disappointed. See it on your mental screen. Feel that sadness all through the body. Just envision it. You feel any tightness? Feel any tension? Make a note of it. A pervading feeling of sadness. Now back to the happy. Feel the happiness. Now feel the sadness again. Sad. Happy. What is this capacity to feel both sad and happy? Who feels sad and happy? Sad and happy. What is the source of feeling both sad and happy? Okay, so that's kind of a little procedure to use. Okay, now I wanted to also have two more activities. One is for you to do partner work and share some 5 minutes or 7 minutes of your script, just like you made the audio sample and you turned in. You can pick any part of your script. And for those of you who may not have your own script, you can pick any part of Swamiji's script, pick any of his scripts. And so this is to give each other feedback. We'll take a short break before we do that, but when we come back after the short break, I'll put you in partners where you are, within, as much as possible, you're within your 2 groups, the local in-person group and the online group. And then depending on the number of people we have, some group maybe 3 people. So go take a 5 to 7 minute break and please be back for that. Let's see, who's absent, Kerry? Okay. Nice. Okay, so as we come back, so to give some feedback to your partner, you have the feedback form. This is accessible to you from Google Classroom. It's either in the handouts and it's also in your assignment that says trial practice feedback. So think about what caught your attention, give them feedback on pauses, clarity, knowing that it's only a small sample. So overall, I want to give you at least 15 minutes for this activity. So I don't even know if 15 minutes is enough. I've never done this in an online way before. Well, I'll come in and ask in between, but 15 to 20 minutes if needed, because with two people, then to be able to listen, take notes, give them feedback, and then the other person to take a turn. So this will, provide a framework of, the clarity of the content, what suggestions you may have for the voice volume, the clarity, the pauses, tonal variation. Sometimes we go on in the same tone, and it's especially true if we are mostly used to reading aloud rather than using a script as a way to actually speak from. So the expression, sometimes the sentences are too long and it distracts our ability. So you've received, most of you, and you have received feedback from me in detail, either with your audio sample or from your script. So you've implemented some changes. So this is a good way to get it from your peers.
So are we going to do like a verbal feedback to each other? Is that what you
Yeah, but
Okay.
to take notes when you the other person to take notes. And when we come back, then I wanted to share the value of this activity, because it's something I would like to do 2 or 3 times in the weeks that we have left. since not enough people are able to do the trial practice feedback in a timely way. So I'm just afraid we'll run out of time before we get enough feedback in. So this is a way of just making it a part of the class. So when you give feedback, then take some notes, and then when we come back, you can share what the experience was like and what you might incorporate from it. So about 5 to 7 minutes worth. Pick any part that you know you would like to receive feedback on. Okay, I'm going to do the breakout groups, and also may pop in and visit some of them, and you'll get a notice that says, when we're ready to close it up. It'll give you, I think, 60 seconds notice to finish up. Okay, we've done this once before, I think. So breakout rooms. Okay, I'm going to assign manually. Create. How many I need? Start with the 6. Christine. Done. 2. Second. Jackie. And Janet. Karen and Laura. Kathleen and Leila. And Rhea and Sydney. Okay, I think that's it. Open all rooms. Should be in your rooms now. No, you're still all here.
It took me to a room and then it popped me back into the main room.
I see.
It did that to me and then it got me to you. Oh, maybe. Okay. Yeah, it did do that for me too.
I see. Okay. I have to. It's in progress, it says. Well, we have a technology. It won't even let me go in again. Okay, I'll have to start one more time. One more time, I'm going to try. Breakout rooms. Okay. I guess you won't let me do it till the next 6 seconds are over to reattempt. Add a room. Open all rooms.
Hey, Sherry, we're all back. I think the time wasn't set for long enough. Oh, there we go.
Are you in your rooms now?
No, the time wasn't set for long enough, so it kicked us all back immediately.
Oh, I don't know how to set the time. I thought I assumed that the time was automatically, it'll be what it is. Clay. Okay. Maybe I don't know, maybe you'll have to set the rooms, or it's not an activity we can do right now. It's
Yeah, maybe if you If you share your screen, I can show you. Oh, okay. You've been assigned breakout. Yeah, if you share the screen, I can, there should be a little
This-
selector for time.
Yeah, where is the time selection? Not joined. Oh, it just says not joined. Oh,
Yep.
it's because Jackie's not assigned. Okay, I should just assign Jackie to join one of the rooms.
We might be able to do it. Let me see.
Okay, now it's us. Is this our group?
Oh, wait. I think.
I'm
Yeah,
still here, but I'm not sure where I'm supposed to go. I don't have a breakout room.
it looks like
that is-
Sheree put herself in a breakout room. And maybe if we try clicking the breakout rooms button to the bottom right of the screen and hit join breakout room, let's see what that does.
I don't have that button.
Let's see. Jackie, unassigned
Mhm,
at the moment.
mhm.
Eve is in room 2. She's not joined either.
Well, there was a couple of times where I went into a room and then it kicked me out. So I think I was with Eve at one point.
Yeah, we were. We were in the room.
Okay.
And then
Yeah, I think
it said like, we have 60 more seconds. And then you were gone. And then I had to leave because nobody was
Yeah.
there.
Do you want me in this group? Because this is a online group. I mean, it doesn't matter to me.
Okay. We'll start video. I can be in the group.
3. You're muted. Do you want me in this group? You're muted.
we can't hear you.
Oh,
You're
sorry.
muted.
Yeah, you'll have to join one of the groups because there's no, I don't think there's a partner for you. So 3 in a group, that's fine. And so the 3 of you to, I think maybe 2 people can take turns here. You'll have about 15 minutes.
Looks like Leela isn't with anybody and Eve is not joined either.
Eve is right here.
Yeah, I'm right
Eve is
here.
with us.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
you're
the 3
right
of you.
here. Okay, I just
Can
says
you
Eve
see
not
Eve?
joined.
Yeah, okay, there we go.
And I just have a little challenge because I don't have that feedback form with me, and I tried to find it on the Google.
Yeah,
Docs.
it's under handouts. It's also under your assignment that says trial practice feedback.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
But we can keep it really simple and say, give feedback. So
Just and
Carrie,
the
would you
pause, the
like to
pace.
go first? With a part of your script and have the 2 of them give you some feedback. Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
So should we lay down or close our eyes or sit? How do you want us
No,
to?
this is, you're not trying to do it as a.
Oh,
full-
okay. So are we closing our eyes or we're just like listening?
No.
Okay, we're just listening.
Yes.
Got it. Thank you, Sri Devi.
Yes. And then, take a little pause after she's done for a few minutes and make some notes so that you can give the feedback. Just, voice, clarity, pauses, what feels effective, what doesn't. There can be suggestions beyond the form. It can be just something that occurs to you in the moment. Hi, Eve.
Hi.
Okay, I will leave the room now. Huh.
Wait, before you leave the room, Sri, where's
Actually, you're not even in a room, are you? You are in the room right now, but I cannot leave.
I don't think we're actually in a breakout room. I think we're
We're
because
the non-assigned.
yeah.
Okay, let me see if I can do an unassigned, if I can do another room. If not, this is the room. Carrie should begin.
So this comes after the rotation of consciousness. All right. Dissolve your counting and bring your awareness to the whole face, to the throat, to the whole body. Follow the flow of breath throughout the whole body. The sensation of breath, the feel of the whole body breathing, the skin breathing, the breath moving through every pore, the sensation of the breath through the skin, into the organs, flowing through all parts of the body, nourishing. Energy flowing in and out. Follow the breath into the lungs, through the bronchioles, into the bloodstream, to every cell of your being in all directions, into the head, the hair, the nails, the torso, the front side of your body, the back side, the face, the brain. Taking the breath into the brain fluids and the flushing of the brain fluids with every breath. The life force breathing you. Following the breath through the whole body from the head to the toe. And following the breath upward from the feet, all the way to the head. Pranic flushing of the body. The energy flow of prana, the electromagnetic flow. You are still awake and aware. So I just stop there.
Oh, I didn't even realize I wasn't on mute.
Doesn't
Sorry.
matter. I couldn't hear you.
I was
You were-
breathing.
You're breathing. There you go. I'll just do that little piece just so everybody gets a chance. It's the three of us. All right, give it to me, ladies.
It was really nice. I enjoyed it. I liked your visualizations. I like the skin breathing and the life force and your tone. And I mean, I feel like it was, I don't have nothing stood out where I thought it was like.
Yeah, this is part of my second one on the whole pranic energy and flow and all of that. So it's just a little section of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I especially liked when we were doing it from the head to the feet, and the feet, that whole pranic flow, because I felt like your pace and your pause at that point really enabled me to follow the prana moving in that way. So I especially felt very powerful. Like I felt you know what I mean? I felt like the strength of that energy moving as I was breathing. I was really getting into it. And then you were like, I'm going to stop. I'm like, no, don't stop. So yeah,
Cool.
I really enjoyed that.
All right. Thanks for that feedback. Somebody
Your voice is very soothing too.
Cool.
Relaxing. Yeah. So thank you.
All right. Thanks, ladies. Somebody else go.
Eve, you want to go?
Yeah, I'm trying to find my document right now. I was trying to get onto it from Google Classrooms, and now I'm on Google Docs getting to the practice right now. So yeah, it'll be like maybe a minute. Okay, so are we just like starting like anywhere?
I just picked like a little section that I thought I could contain. So yeah, mine was like right in the middle of before, just after I just picked that little couple of paragraphs after the body rotation. And then I just picked like that little paragraph of the breath, whole breath sensory awareness. So.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay.
Right or wrong, that's what I did.
Okay. So yeah, and that's what she said, just like kind of pick wherever. Okay. Well, so you did the rotation of consciousness. I can maybe start at the inner, yeah, like the inner space. And I did a really short version, so I'll just do that one. Okay. You ready? So visualize a screen in front of your eyes and forehead. The colors and patterns will arise. Can you hear me? Spontaneous thoughts, detached awareness. Become a witness to your thoughts and feelings. Observe creation, preservation, and dissolution of each thought. Now let go of that.
It can be on a Word document. You would just upload it. I'm trying to see what to do with this sign here. Are you sure you want to stop recording to the cloud? Cancel. Okay, there we go. So
I
now
got
it's
it.
recording.
I did it
again.
already. We're already back recording.
Yeah, well, it kept asking me, so I've taken care of it. Yeah, so you can have short comments. You don't, for your own self, if you're giving feedback about what the process of doing your trial feedback, what that meant to you, then it's more a little reflection on your part. You can put that anywhere in the comments of your form, or write it in another, a Word file or a Google Doc, and add it as an attachment. So it's no different working with this. And if all else fails, I do not want you to have anxiety about it. So how can we release that anxiety? We'll go to the opposite end. You become constructive. What's the easiest way for me to deal with it? Send it by email. And I've been, at the beginning of the course, I was encouraging more and more people to get on board with Google Classroom so that it's much easier to have it all in one place. But if something is coming in the way, if the technology is coming in the way of your ease and comfort in the course to be able to submit something, then it's time to just say, it's fine, I'm just going to email this. And then I will manually mark you off. And so don't let the technology issues stop you. But James has done this a few times, and he said there's no problem with the trial feedback. But again, each person is different. What you can do.
Two things.
Yeah.
Tree, we can't see you.
Oh, I see. Well, I'm glad you finally said something.
I didn't want to interrupt you yet.
No, you can interrupt. It's fine. I had turned myself off when I was in one of the groups. Now I want to go to, gosh, I have so much on the agenda. On your, let's go to the agenda for today. Make sure that's still, I can open that. So for me to open that, what do I have to do? Go into the daily folder. 1 second, I'll be right there. I wanted to talk a little bit about how the vasanas, samskaras, and how they become part of the chain link of karma, and especially for the yoga teachers here, to point out how the Yoga Sutras are a real guide in this way. Okay, let me scroll down here and go to that part. Okay, Yoga Sutras. So this, he speaks in chapter 2 about both the samskaras, which I like to think about samskaras as the subliminal imprints from actions. And I've spoken about this a few times because it is that important. So if you think of a triad of karma, samskara, and vasana. Vasana are our habitual tendencies. So these are all, in the samskara is initially in our conscious waking state. Like my eating a piece of chocolate, being a diabetic. So I used to drive in front of the Barnes and Noble in Boulder, and I knew they carried my favorite raspberry-filled chocolates. I would go out of my way to circle that before I went to Naropa University to teach my class. And after I did that a few times, what did I do next? I went and parked and I bought a book that I didn't need so I could go to the desk, and at the counter, I could very casually pick up a piece of the chocolate. And so all very, very conscious actions. But each time I was saying yes to an impulse. So once I bought that chocolate, I throw away the receipt, I throw away the wrapper, and I quickly ate it. That set the stage for samskara. There was a subliminal imprint of an action, whether it's our own action or we observe somebody else's action. Like my son, when he was very young, 2 years old, had no clue that candy at Halloween should be eaten. He just enjoyed collecting them in a bag, in a basket, and we would make little candy trees and decorate in the house. So he didn't really know. Then a little friend of his came in and grabbed a candy and ate it. And my son watched him, that watching and the light in the eyes. And then he picks up a candy and he looking at me, pops it into his mouth. So that is a samskara, a subliminal imprint of an action. So it's the first stage for the chain link of karma to happen. And in this navel, the fire element and the Manomaya Kosha, this is the opportunity we have as we bring up different images. And as we bring up, the taste of chocolate, the taste of Osha, a bitter herb. So you have both the taste, and what might be bitter in taste may bring up an impression of what might have been a bitter experience in life. So this is the richness of working with this kosha, where the senses and the feelings are very intertwined. And so we are addressing what are called the midbrain circuits, what's called the limbic system, and the hypothalamus, the pituitary, and the adrenal axis, HPA axis, which is all about getting the sympathetic nervous system fired up to take action. This is our survival mechanisms, which unfortunately goes on fire in unnecessary ways in this modern technological age. There are so many triggers for us that come from just the toxic electromagnetic fields we are exposed to. So to keep remembering, to wash our hands often, to, put some water on your face, on your eyes, put some water on your head, just a wet washcloth you can keep handy. Water helps to remove some of the electrical charged disturbances, and then keep something made of copper handy. I have various copper devices, including a copper ring. You can buy various copper devices on a website from one of my late teachers, whose name was Slim Sperling, Spurling. His website is still there, Slim Sperling. And I was one of the last students to study with him in person. with workshops on geophysical electromagnetic systems, and then how to use copper to protect our energetic fields. So even just going to the hardware store and buying plain copper wire that is solid wire, not hollow, and not anything that has insulation around it, but a thin copper wire, and making a ring of it that you can now and then put on your head, a bigger ring to put around your body when you're in the chair, around your computer. So ways that can electromagnetically protect our own fields. And as I said, washing your feet, washing your hands, washing your face. In India, this is kind of an ongoing thing throughout the day. We wash our hands, feet, and face several times. And some of the real reasons are this: to also release the pent-up toxicity of our emotional and feeling residues, impulsive behaviors, raw impulses, because there's toxins that need to be released from within our brain fluids. We have an entirely different lymphatic system within our brains, which is only now being researched. It's called the glymphatic system, GLY, glymphatic system. So there's drainage of toxicities that continue to happen. And to keep all of that healthy, also Yoga Nidra is very good, especially to practice the opposites. Whenever we can practice opposites, then we don't get caught up in the samskaras becoming vasanas. They don't become the habitual tendencies. If I can bring up the taste of sweet chocolate in my mouth, then in the very next moment, if I can bring up the bitterness, to me, the most bitter thing I've ever tasted has been neem leaves. Most of you know, I've heard about the Ayurvedic herb neem oil. Okay, neem oil also extremely, extremely bitter, but is now being heavily researched in India to use against COVID, because neem oil is a wonderful anti-parasite thing and antifungal thing. You'll find it in every hardware store in America too. So anyway, so neem leaves are something we eat mixed with fresh sugarcane juice or sugar cubes that are made out of sugarcane juice at the time of the winter harvest in India, especially in South India. We have a lot of sugarcane. And we eat them together at the time of the Hindu New Year, astrologically, that comes around March and April. And there's a song that goes with it to enjoy both the bitter and the sweet tastes, so that we may tolerate both the bitter and the sweet events in life, so that we may learn to be detached from both the bitter and the sweet. So even little children will recite this song, and we eat the tender, bitter neem leaves along with a piece of banana and some of that fresh sugar. Oh, my mouth is just watering thinking of the sugar. And I can tolerate the neem. So that is the power of having the opposites in the sensations, opposites in the feelings, so that we can consciously not allow the subliminal impressions to become vasanas or habitual tendencies, which then go into our automated behaviors. We have circuits in the brain, in our lower brain, in our what we call our reptilian consciousness, from the thalamus, hypothalamus, downwards, cerebellum. So many circuits in the lower part of the brain that hold our automatic patterns, that you don't have to think about how to put on a light bulb, how to do the steering in your car, and when you sit in the car. So the moment we master a skill, then the behaviors needed slip into the automatic regions of our brain. So that takes much less energy to run our brain machinery. And the same thing happens with anything negative. The moment we yield to those impressions, then I will automatically, then it became a habit for me to stop at the Barnes and Noble, not pretend I'm buying a book, but then buy that chocolate. Everything becomes an automatic behavior. This is how addiction patterns are set up. By the firing of the brain impulses that takes an action from a conscious impression, a conscious maneuver into the unconscious realm. And that's how the chain link of karma is enhanced. And then Patanjali over here speaks about what are called kleshas. Klesha literally means an impurity. If there's one of the best ways to explain it is if you have like a huge patch of skin that is, has eczema or a skin issue, then in normal everyday language in India would say, oh, there's a klesha on your skin. We have to treat it. There's a klesha. And we try to kind of wipe it away. So it's an impurity in the pathways of how we work with our own actions. So, and this is what we might call in the Jungian framework, our shadow side, our personal unconscious. And the kleshas can also be part of collective unconscious, where you have certain patterns of behavior that are part of a certain culture, but they are injurious. Just like you have for instance, female mutilation in Ethiopia and parts of Africa that are so terrible for the woman. And yet they continue because they are kleshas of an entire culture. And we have had that in every culture we have all come from. So how to work with kleshas? He gives several verses, and I'm going to paraphrase right now. One of these kleshas is called avidya, ignorance. So ignorance of what? Ignorance of our own true nature, of course, but it's the ignorance of being unable to distinguish between what is impermanent versus permanent. Unable to distinguish between what serves my path versus what doesn't. Am I going into the Barnes and Noble store to buy a raspberry-filled chocolate? Okay, it's fine as a whim once in a while. If I reserve that opportunity to say, oh, I love it when I can have fun in class with my students at the end of a class and we're all sharing a piece of chocolate. But not if I yield to my dark side where I go in secret and go eat it by myself, throwing off the wrapper and eat it very quickly. And it has become an addictive pattern and is having power over me through my personal unconscious. That is now where the shadow side has power over our actions, over the psyche. So one of the kleshas then is working with ignorance, avidya. And I'll put the 5 terms, the 5 kleshas, I'll put it in the summary. So when you go to the Google Classroom next, it's important that you keep checking these daily folders because they get updated. There's always an agenda, and then there's always a summary. And then as I think of things, I put them in there so the summary gets enhanced a little bit so you will have a good collection of class notes in addition to the notes that you're taking, and you can integrate them too. By the way, I appreciate some of you sending me the notes from the Sankalpa teaching of last Thursday, and that video is also going to happen. So avidya, ignorance, then Patanjali offers us another klesha, asmita. Asmita is ego inflation. We tend to inflate what might be important to me and my loved ones, and so we lose sight of what serves the highest good. So that's another way that our shadow side, it takes over, is the overemphasizing of me and mine. So asmita. Then Patanjali gives us the pairs of opposites, raga and dvesha.
Raga and Dvesha. Raga, attachment, Dvesha, repulsion. So attachment and repulsion. So the root teaching in Yoga Nidra for Swamiji to have picked, let us do opposites of sensation, opposites of feelings and emotion, that came about because of the teaching in the Yoga Sutras, written somewhere between the 2nd and 4th centuries, that part of the impurities in our nature we have to work on to release them from vasanas and samskaras and break that chain link of karma, includes these 5 kleshas. One is avidya, or ignorance of our own true nature, of what serves the highest good. One is asmita, the ego inflation. Then 3 and 4 are raga and dvesha, attachment and repulsion. So think about even one situation right now, just one situation in any time in your life where you had this utter attachment beyond all explanation, an attraction or an attachment to something or someone, or some idea or some taste or some experience. So we really have that feeling of what it means to be attracted to and have the attachment for, feeling it as a sensation, and where we might feel it in our bodies. That strong desire, attachment. Now something that you absolutely cannot stand, that you detest. Even the word hatred is not too much to use. Something that you're repulsed by. Bring that up in your mind. It could be anything from your life, past, present, imagined. Feel the strength of that, the power of that feeling. Now again, attachment, repulsion, attachment, repulsion. Okay, so that's a 3 and 4. And the last one, the 5th one, but the most important, clinging to life as we know it. Abhinivesha, it is called. Abhi, the source, nivesha, to stay in. Clinging to this, to life as we know it. I still remember nursing a very, very precious lady who was like my godmother when I first came to America, Columbus, Ohio, 1975. And as she was diagnosed with lung cancer and she was a chain smoker, and as she lay on the hospital bed, dying, she's clutching my hand and says, with my very last breath, Shri, I still want that cigarette. I still have that hope I will get one more breath, have the chance for one more breath and one more cigarette. Just to see that, I was in my 20s, and to be nursing somebody who was in their late 70s going through that, I completely broke down and wept and wept and wept. And there was horror for me that this could be any one of us. That is the 5th klesha. So again, just to paraphrase, avidya, the ignorance of our true nature. And so the complete absence of any type of discriminating faculty. Not knowing. And not knowing that we know not, as they say in, it's a Chinese proverb, he who knows not that they know not. Yeah, then you have asmita, ego inflation. Raga and dvesha, attachment and repulsion. And then the clinging to life as we know it. So these 5 kleshas, in their subtle form, are constantly ravaging our unconscious and subconscious minds. And so what they color then what arises into our conscious mind, into our waking state. So the power of sankalpa, the engine of Yoga Nidra, the power of sankalpa is that we begin with the conscious waking mind in our highest faculties of buddhi to frame the sankalpa. But the power of sankalpa as we go into the deeper relaxation is that the sankalpa will bring forth some of these impressions, some of these tendencies, and just give us a glimpse, reveal here and there, so that there can be a shift in how our sankalpa gets phrased, or we start to add another sankalpa, another sankalpa. I was able to go into the whole aspect of forgiving my ex-husband for having an affair, lying to me, and leaving me and my mentally ill son after 29 years. And this is, having a Hindu dharmic Indian husband, and that he felt it was perfectly fine. So the expectations, the judgment, the anger, which couldn't even be expressed, the anger had become depression, the helplessness, the sense of abandonment in a foreign country. I never chose to live in America on my own. I came as a student and I was going right back. I had a job waiting for me. And I stayed on because of my marriage. So it's everything would pour out, flood out, just keep flooding. And the more Yoga Nidra I did as my therapy, the more sankalpas kept emerging. And I would have stacks and stacks of index cards. And as I then worked with, a couple of healers who helped me, and also underwent what's called the Hakomi somatic therapy, I was able to work with the varieties, the flood of sankalpas, to choose a few. And I worked with these kleshas, these 5 kleshas. Most powerful teaching that come out of the Yoga Sutras is the recognition of these 5 kleshas. And almost anything in our shadow side can be put into one of those 5 categories. And that helps our awareness in those deep states. Okay, so the other thing I want to address is, verses 33 and 34. And this is all second chapter, which, where he brings forth some of these teachings. The Pratipaksha Bhavana, what Richard Miller speaks about in the interview. So it's called cultivating the opposite emotive mode, a very important practice we can use in Yoga Nidra. And that's what these sankalpas do. We can create a sankalpa that is the opposite of what we feel. Never ever have a negative wording in a sankalpa. Like you don't want to say, I want to feel less disappointed in life. I want to be less sad in life. No, you want to choose the opposite and say, I want to invoke a happy response. You can do release and invitation sankalpas, as I mentioned last time. I release sadness, from my heart. I release sadness from my whole being about something. You want to have something concrete. But the Pratipaksha Bhavana, Bhavana means the mode of, the emotive mode of, and Patanjali says in the Yoga Sutras, 2.33 and 34, he says, uninterrupted discernment, an uninterrupted discriminating discernment, the word we use is viveka. Viveka means that uninterrupted ability to discern clearly is the method of removing these 5 kleshas. So if you think of 5, the pentad, you've got the 5 elements, you've got the 5 subtle senses, you have the 5 organs of action, you have the 5 organs of perception or senses, and then you have the 5 kosha model, and now you have the 5 kleshas. And he says the uninterrupted practice of working with our discrimination. And how do we get it to be uninterrupted? By practicing the dharana to dhyana progressions in deep relaxation. The fastest way to improve our attention capacity and learning how to be with an attitude, learning how to be with a reaction, learning without resisting, learning how to be with a feeling is in deeply relaxed states, which is what Yoga Nidra guides us to. Okay, that's enough of the teaching. I want us to do another practice now. And I'll pause for a bit. That was a bit of a heavy teaching there. 5 kleshas, how they inform subliminal impression or samskara, to vasana, how something becomes a habitual tendency. But we are bringing that into awareness gently, to work gently. So this other book, which I've never spoken about till now, it's called Practical Yoga Nidra. Just a tiny little book by this teacher, Scott Moore. And Scott and I were in touch when he used to own a couple of yoga studios. And his book is organized in a very simple way, where he has a 5-minute meditation scripts, and then he'll have what he calls a full meditation script, but it doesn't take more than 15 minutes. So for short, very short practices, but Tracy Stanley offers that too. But Scott has very little else in his book, but he does go through the koshas. So I want to introduce a practice on the Manomaya Kosha here, a short one. So wherever you are, you can either be sitting and closing your eyes or lying down. It's going to be probably just a 6 to 7 minute practice. And he encourages the cardiac breathing here. So just breathing in through your nose, breathing out through your mouth. Just purse your lips. Just notice the breathing beginning to get longer, especially the exhale. A deep inhale that goes through your lower belly, middle chest, upper chest, the throat, the nostrils. And the exhale slightly longer. And while you're doing this longer breathing, just releasing anything that's in your mind, any sensations in your body. Just do a gentle squeeze and release as you are while doing this longer breathing. Reciting your sankalpa 3 times. Feeling the flow of the breath, just caressing the words of your sankalpa. And the image, bring up the image in front of the closed eyes. Have an inner sanctuary that you can always go to. Have an inner sanctuary. So at any time in the practice, you can return to that. Now feel your entire body. Feel the whole body. Send your awareness to the whole body. Now the mouth, both eyes, both ears, the nose, the top of the head, the back of the head, the entire face, the scalp and your hair, the entire face, the scalp and your hair, both arms, both hands. Feel both hands simultaneously. Feel your chest rising and falling. Feel your belly rising and falling. Feel the whole back of your body, the backside, the pelvis, both legs, both feet, the whole body, your presence in the whole body. What are you aware of in this moment? Where is your awareness now? Can we become that unchanging field of awareness? Feel yourself as very large, that expanding I am presence. Now feel yourself as very tiny, very small. As small as the speck of dirt. Now again, very large. Your space of who you are is widening. Again, very small. Now let your presence be both large and small. Who you are is both large and small. What is something that makes you happy? Fill in the details of a happy scene by noticing your senses when you're happy. The sights and sounds and smells and tastes and sensations. What makes you happy? Where do you feel happiness in your body? What are some different ways you feel happy? Happy. Invite, acknowledge, and observe happiness. If it feels safe to do so now, remember feeling disappointed. Remember feeling sad. Or perhaps even just bored. Remember boredom. Fill in the details of one scene from your life. Feeling sad or disappointed or bored. Noticing your senses. The sights, the sounds, the smells, the tastes, and the sensations. Feeling sad or disappointed or bored. Be the witness to how this emotion feels in your body. Notice all the ways that this emotion feels in your body, affecting your being. Now release this feeling of disappointment or sadness or boredom. Go back to the scene of happiness. Remember happy. Now release happiness and pick up disappointment or sad. Happiness, disappointment. Now feel both simultaneously. Feel the part of you that is large enough, the I am presence that is large enough to allow you to feel both emotions, happy and sad. or happy and disappointed, or happy and bored. Repeat in your mind, though I have these emotions, I am larger than my emotions. I am bigger than my emotions. I am that vast field of awareness from which all these emotions are arising in me. Each emotion is a pointer, is a messenger, guiding me to my own true being as the vast awareness of I am that I am. So hum, so hum, so hum. I am that, I am that. I am more than my emotions. I am more than my feelings. I am more than my sensations. Now bring your attention gently back to your body. Your inner sanctuary. Go to your inner sanctuary and repeat your sankalpa again 3 times, along with the image. When you hear me count down from 5, that will signal the end of the Yoga Nidra practice. Because you have practiced awareness through your emotions, you will have the power to respond effectively with resilience to the emotions that will visit you in your life. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. The Yoga Nidra has ended. Take a deep breath, blink your eyes. It's the shortest practice of all time. But it's got a powerful way. It has a, of course, I modified it. You could tell when I brought in the mantra, Soham, and I am. And I can never work with any published script by itself. Nevertheless, it's another resource, and I'll make sure I put its name. I find it very useful to find such short practices and then be able to use them as a kernel to build around. From Swamiji's book, I found that his Yoga Nidra 3 and 4 in a combined way assisted for me to get into the Manomaya Kosha. In his Yoga Nidra 4, and his outlines are, very useful to use as you develop your own script. He's got the awareness of sensations, right after the breathing and counting. And he recommends, as we get to about midway in the koshas, to at least try one practice with counting 54 to 1, going all the way from 54 downwards. So at least try it for yourself as a practice. Don't yet put it in any of your scripts. These scripts are all beginning level scripts to use in, say, the first 6 months of your offering Yoga Nidra. And it's very good to go thematically through the koshas, since it helps to pay attention to all aspects of the journey of awareness from gross to subtle. But counting 54 to 1 or coming to the point of doing 108 to 1 has to wait till you have done perhaps 25 to 30 practices of 27 to 1. But so Swamiji recommends bringing in the feelings and sensations after we do the counting backwards part in the script. And for the Manomaya Kosha, I highly recommend working with Richard Miller's pages on it. He's got stage 3, Manomaya Kosha, begins on page 42. He calls it taming truth. And he uses the phrase taming truth. It is from a book written by the world's most famous trauma researcher, Peter Levine, his book called Taming the Tiger. And otherwise, you wonder, what are these labels? What is taming truth all about? Well, it is bringing our reactive tendencies into mastery so that we are masters of how much emotion to use and when. Emotion can be used as tools. This is a big teaching Amma has given us, where she has given many examples in her satsangs where she speaks about using emotion as a tool. And she particularly does that when she's disciplining her devotees close to her. She'll project anger for maybe 10 seconds about, something somebody forgot to do properly. And then right after that, she disciplines them with her anger. She will give them a big hug and kiss both cheeks. She becomes the caring, unconditional, loving mother, but using emotion as a tool. So his page is over there from 42 onwards, or 7 or 8 pages. He has something called the law of opposites, which again gets into the opposite sensations. And another practice I want to recommend from Tamara Verma, which if we don't get to do it in class, it goes with the teaching on Sankalpa. She has 2 practices on Sankalpa, one for beginning Sankalpa and one for what she calls anytime Sankalpa renewal. It's on page 22. And I highly recommend that. It's a nice way to kind of bring energy and a deeper awareness to the process of Sankalpa, which comes as a Yoga Nidra practice. So anytime Sankalpa. Good time to pause in the teaching and say that, keep reviewing your Sankhya. It's important to know the categories of the yogic cosmology. If you look in your handout section, we have posted different types of, there's a longer essay on the Sankhya model itself. There's 2 different types of Sankhya charts. So that's important. Then among the work that is due for this week, the Yoga Nidra script 2, your Pranamaya Kosha, and the practice feedback. For some of you, it may take a little longer, and that's okay, as long as you're working on practicing your script, saying it, refining your script, and then finding at least one person to do an entire practice to, and have them fill out the feedback form, or give you verbal feedback, and you take notes. You have that to do, and let's see what else. Yeah, I've added a practice reflection too. So you did one practice reflection earlier in the course, and now it's time for another one. Just pick an audio or a video practice from the list we have in the resources. We have several, and pick one that you want to try, and look and see if it's got. If it's a script that you're going to choose, then you will have to record it yourself and play it back. Or if it's Tracy Stanley's or Tamara Verma's, then their scripts are in the book as well as online. So I put that as due March 11th. And to start looking up research articles, because I want you to do a short summary of 2 different research articles on Yoga Nidra or iRest or somatic guided meditations. And there's so much brand new research out there. So I've put a few links in your resources section. There's a whole section now called Yoga Nidra Research. So you'll find some links to some phenomenal studies for anxiety, insomnia, and other physiological markers. So as you find a good one, then please send us the link so I can add it to the links that we have. Ah, beautiful, beautiful. So let's just drink in the essence of what we have together. Yeah, Karan, you wanted to say something, please.
Yeah, I was looking for the assignment to submit review of research, and I can't find it as a student, and I wonder if it hasn't been.
Yeah, it's still in a draft
activated.
form.
Okay.
It's in a draft form because
It
it's,
is,
you know.
okay, intentionally. I just wanted to triple check.
Yeah, yeah. But then you can always look up the draft form also. Yeah, I didn't want to flood you with requests because yesterday you would have got, you know, the class agenda, you would have got the you're going to draw practice reflection too. There's nothing else that's due. There's no mysteries waiting other than keeping your Yoga Nidra binder going. Keep a binder. This is really important. I mean, in spite of everything that may be online and you're very good at organizing it, I still want to see a binder. I've got a triangle on mine to show the transformation and the chakras in the background. And
do you have, excuse me, do you have any examples of how would be a great way to organize a binder, or just do it how we want?
No, use the categories we have. And I think I've made some suggestions in your Yoga Nidra binder assignment.
Okay.
Yeah. So, you know, start with the syllabus, of course. So I would do syllabus, daily folders, kind of pretty much how like our course is organized. Have the assignments where you have the printed assignment and then you're working it. Your scripts, that's the most important thing. Have a section for my Yoga Nidra script, set of 5. Even if you just have a blank page in there that says Yoga Nidra script 1, script 2, 6, 3, just have them in there so your eyes can see them and you can manifest them. Have a good section on Yoga Nidra research. Have a good section on, you know, your journaling and your notes, all of your notes that you take throughout class. It's just so helpful because the very act of note taking and journaling, even if it's just for ourselves, when we have it in a form that's accessible and we are going through them, we start to have, our journey deepens, we get insights. Just touching the page on which we have written something. It's not the same as writing on a computer. So just to have the act of bringing the binder together. So thank you all.
Thanks,
being here, being present, being flexible with our hybrid format. And when we meet online, when we don't, all of you holding this whole Yoga Nidra Sangha here, and also join us on Facebook if you want to share some other things with the Yoga Nidra Sangha. Let's do the Shanti Mantra together. Take a deep breath. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Namaste. Okay.